Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. I love this job. I've said it before, it is by far the best job I've ever had. I get to sit here in my ivory shed, issuing my verdicts on the latest releases in the affordable watch space. Now, sometimes I am critical, tearing strips off a watch that I think deserves to have strips torn off it. Indeed, earlier this week, I had a right pop at that minging Casio G-Shock. It was even worse in the flesh than in the photos. But sometimes I am magnanimous, heaping praise where I think it belongs. And today I'm going to tell you just how much I like the new Citizen ProMaster JV1007. I think it is the best new Citizen since the Tsuyosa was launched 2 years ago. It has such a unique combination of features and utility, and no one, and I mean no one in the entire watch industry does this type of watch better than Citizen. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. All right, let's get on with it, and plenty to discuss today. This watch does an awful lot, so I've got a lot to talk about. I thought therefore I would break it into some very clear, demarcated, delineated sections today, and I'll leave timestamps in the description of the video as well. Starting with price. You know I love talking about money, and price always adds context to everything else that follows. Then I'll talk about the basics, the dimensions, the specifications. We'll have a look at the case, the rubber strap, the dial, the hands, etc., and some wrist shots. Then features and functions. As discussed, this watch does an awful lot, so there's quite a bit to go through there. Then we'll have a mini Moans and Niggles section, because there aren't too many things to complain about, to be honest. Then I shall wrap it all up neatly in a bow at the end. But first of all, can we get a round of applause for Citizen's designers? That is a great looking watch. It's super legible, everything is really nice and really crisp. I think it is a handsome big unit for sure. Looks to me like there are 3 basic versions of this watch available. There's a blue dial version on the bracelet, there is the black dial version on the rubber strap. That's the one I've got, that's the only one I was interested in, frankly, and a green dial version in one of those kind of Cordura canvas and calf numbers. There is a 4th PVD version, but that's a limited edition and it's more expensive, so I won't bother talking about that today. The RRP on the black dial with rubber is 1,250 Australian dollars. Now, we know nobody pays RRP for Citizen Group products. You can pick up the one on the bracelet from an online retailer for well under $1,000 here in Australia already, even less on special. I paid 600 Aussie for this one, very lightly used. Maybe I could have got 50 extra dollars off of that if I had fished around for a bit, but I am impatient. I think this one came from Singapore. 1 year international warranty because it came from overseas originally, hang tag there. That's the full model reference for this black dial version, the JV1007-07E, featuring a brand new module, a caliber 0822. I reckon it came from Creation Watches in Singapore because I have seen that little stamp many times in the past. You know what? If you bought one of these full price, I think that's probably not too bad. This is really good. It just reeks of quality throughout this one. If you can get it for less than RRP, of course you should, but if you paid full noise for it, yeah, you didn't get ripped off, let's put it that way. Alright then, dimensions. It is a bit of a big boy. I think it's a little larger than Citizen claim it to be on their website. They say it's a 44. I can't measure 44 anywhere across this watch. The smallest measurement that I can get from it is 44.8, so be aware it is quite big. 14.5mm thick, again slightly bigger than their claim, 51mm lug to lug, 22mm between the lugs. Now, one of the reasons why I specifically wanted the rubber strap version is because this is on my upper edges of size and weight and comfort, etc. It weighs 117 grams on the rubber strap. That's going to be pushing 200 if you do opt for the stainless steel bracelet version. Flat sapphire crystal with anti-reflective undercoating, 200 meters of water resistance, which is fantastic from this style of watch, and as noted, it's a new Citizen module, a U822. Now, just like Casio, Citizen always print the module number on the case back as a bit of a reference. You can then Google that and download yourself a PDF of the manual, because believe me, you are going to want to read the manual with this one. It's only 13 pages. It's not as bad as some others I have seen. Very, very plain screw-on stainless steel case back. Other than that, all those little specs and numbers are just printed on rather than etched on for comfort. Now, I have emphasized already, this watch is stainless steel. It doesn't look stainless steel. It looks like it's made of titanium. They have coated it to look like titanium. It's got that kind of dull grey matte finish. You put it on your wrist though and you realize from the weight that it is not titanium. A couple of different finishes here as well. There's some kind of IP coating on the bezel. Now, there are those beveled grips at the top and bottom, like the bezel rotates, but it doesn't. Not quite sure what they're doing there. I guess they are just for decoration. There's a crown down here at the 8 o'clock that operates an inner rotating compass bezel. It doesn't screw down, and there are 3 buttons on the crown side. The crown itself, which again doesn't screw down, it is nice and knurled, and 2 pushers which look like they should screw down, but again don't screw down. There's just a couple of different elements to each of them. Very, very nicely made, as is the way with all Citizens around this price point. And it just feels so solid because it's quartz, because there aren't as many moving parts within it. You don't get that slightly hollow feeling that you always get with a mechanical watch. It's a standard ProMaster rubber strap. We've seen this on a number of other watches from the ProMaster range. I swore for the first couple of days of wearing this one that it had 20mm lug width. I think it's because the rubber strap tapers very quickly from 22 down to 20. It gives the impression of a smaller lug width. Perhaps also it's because it's nearly 45mm in diameter. Now, no quick release, but Citizen rather handily do give you cutouts so you're not hacking at those lugs. Should you wish to change the strap over, I might have a go at getting a 0 pass or a single pass NATO strap for this one, or perhaps a Marine Nationale at some point as well. Double retainers, one relatively fixed, one mobile, and one of those big chunky angular Citizen buckles with laser etched brand logo. Alright, dial and hands, I'll chuck in various bits of macro footage here as appropriate, but as discussed, I think Citizen did a great job with this one. It's a really clean, handsome, legible specimen. Now, I have had a right pop at some of Citizen's models in the past for just being ridiculously over complex in terms of the letters, the numerals, the little hash marks everywhere. Their Blue Angels model specifically gave me anxiety. This one, not at all. They've really toned it down here, and I think the fact that they have used those big prominent applied numerals at 3, 6 and 9 along with large batons everywhere else means they become the focus. The rest of the markings in the dial kind of fade into the background almost until they are required. So they are indeed applied, the 3, 6, 9 and the rest of the batons, and it's all fully loomed, as you'll see in a minute or two. There are a couple of sub-registers here, one dealing with modes and one dealing with the power reserve and the chronograph. Those two are just slightly recessed. There is a fabulous MIP LCD display on the top section of the dial. Now that means memory in pixel LCD. It is so crisp, it is so sharp, meaning that it can carry so much more information than a more basic LCD would be able to, as you'll see when we discuss the features in a couple of minutes. It's a cracking pilot style sword handset as well, with blacked out center sections, including the needle second hand. They are the perfect size, the perfect shape, and stand out so well against that grey-black dial. Now, because this is from the ProMaster Land series range, that inner bezel / chapter ring has compass markings. Again, they're all printed in white and nicely legible against the grey-black. I just love it. I mean, obviously the big size has a part to play. They would have struggled to get all of that detail into a smaller case shape, but as it stands, it's great. And that's it on wrist. As discussed, this is on the upper edges of what I feel comfortable wearing. I do have a couple of watches this size, but they're G-Shocks and they weigh 65 grams and they're made of resin. The biggest watch in my kind of main collection, my permanent collection, is 43mm, but This one I find just so appealing on so many levels that I'm prepared to go those extra 1.8 millimeters to accommodate it. Rubber strap certainly helps taking a bit of weight off, and perhaps I will go for a slightly more wrist-hugging strap in the future, swapping away from this rubber. Nothing really wrong with the rubber one though. I guess I'm between two holes. This one is a little bit too tight. This one is a little bit too loose, meaning the watch doesn't sit quite where I want it to. It bobbles around a bit. I've been wearing it slightly looser at night, but slightly tighter during the day as a consequence. And that's the overhead shot. Cracking legibility, nice clean read of the hands and those big numerals and baton hour markers. You can also make out that MIP LCD as well, even from arm's length, which is fantastic. What do you think of the size? Perhaps if I hadn't skipped arm day for the last 49 years, it would look a bit better on a slightly chunkier forearm, I reckon. As it stands though, I can pull it off because I want to pull it off. There you are then, same watch, slightly bigger right wrist, and yeah, it just feels a little bit more at home, a little bit more comfortable on this one, both visually and in terms of that 51mm lug to lug. And check out the loom, it looks amazing. I wasn't expecting that the first time I turned off the lights. I'm not sure you were either. Every single marker, applied indices, the hands, even the Citizen logo are fully loomed, and two-tone loom as well. I reckon you can guess what's going to happen though when I turn the lights off. You can see the hands and the main markers are in a blue loom. Everything else peripheral to the main timekeeping is in green loom. And indeed, when I turn the speed up, the green fades pretty quickly, but the blue does not. It hangs on in-gamely. End of the 20 minutes, it's still glowing brightly. Anecdotally, I've worn this watch overnight, no problem at all, anytime. And as an added bonus, that little LCD display even gets its own backlight. Not quite sure about the colour though, surely it should have been white, but hey, I can't complain too much. Again, I wasn't really expecting it. Okay then, are you ready? Take a deep breath, it's time for features and functions, of which this watch has many. But again, I've had a crack at Citizen before for trying to pack too much utility into some of their similar analog-only ProMasters. You end up with just a mess of different markings on the dial, and they're near impossible to operate because you're asking so much of such a small number of analog hands. The saving grace of the JV1007 is that LCD display. It means the watch can do so much more, and it is so much easier to see what the watch is doing. Alright, a couple of basic parameters regarding the U880, the movement in the back of this one. Kind of standard quartz deviation of plus or minus 15 seconds per month accuracy. 12 months of power reserve. However, if the watch goes into power saving mode, if you slip it into a drawer and forget about it, for example, 3 years of power reserve. You can pull it back out the drawer and not have to set it again. Although frankly, if you put a watch in a drawer and forget about it for 3 years, you should probably just sell it. There's a couple of features on the dial here, very easy to explain. The 8 o'clock crown operates the inner rotating bezel. The crown doesn't screw down and it's a friction-based bezel. It can rotate either way. The sub-register at the 8 o'clock has two different functions. Ordinarily, when it's in calendar mode or world time mode, it is a power reserve indicator. As you can see here, this watch is fully charged, capable of lasting for the next 12 months or 36 months. When it's in chronograph mode, you can see those numerals there, 0 round to 40. This watch has a 40-hour chronograph. The other sub-register over at the 4 o'clock, that pertains to the modes. We'll go through that in just a second. But let's have a look at the LCD display for the moment. Currently in calendar mode. Now, the arrow is not pointing, the hand is not pointing to calendar mode. It's pointing one to the right of calendar mode. A little bit awkward. You kind of have to see where the arrow is pointing, the hand is pointing, and then read to the left of it. Yeah, not the best anyway. In calendar mode, you can choose how much or how little information the LCD display displays. This is the minimum information you can have, the date of the month and the month of the year. You press that top button one more time, it will show you the day of the week. One more time, it will show you the date, the month, the time, the day of the week, and AM or PM. One more, it shows you your home city, the date, the month, the year, AM or PM, and the time. One more push and you're back into basic, just the date and the month. I love it. Alright, let's run through the modes here then, and to change modes you press this kind of crown button, the master button at the 3 o'clock here. The display switches from negative to positive, you can then adjust it back and forth. Now the world time mode doesn't work like a Casio world time. You can't now flick through 29 different time zones. You kind of fix your second city if you will, so the watch can operate like a pseudo GMT. The watch likes to sit in either world time mode or calendar mode by default, so this is it in world time with your second city shown on the LCD display. London is obviously my second city, because I still have people in the UK that I kind of care about after 22 years in Australia. Again, you can pick how much or how little information you show on that top display in world time mode. This one shows you all the information of your home city and your chosen second city, the day of the week, the date of the month of the year, and the time, etc. You can show slightly less information, or you can show more information pertaining only to that home time zone, or just the basics. If you are only concerned about the time, that's your boy there. Now, one feature that I noticed in the instruction manual when I was reading it reminded me of the Casio Oceanus models. If you press both of those buttons at once, it switches home time and world time. Fantastic. So if you regularly travel between two cities, or you're hopping across two time zones regularly, set one of those, set the other one, and again, double push, and you're back. It reverses them. Fantastic. I love it. Alright, moving on from world time mode, let's press the mode select button, move it onto chronograph, actively select chronograph. Now, there is a master setting in the settings menu. It will record up to 999 either splits or laps. Start by pressing the top button. You can do splits or laps, whichever one you have chosen, by pressing the bottom button. Stop and then reset. You can then go back into the settings mode and analyze all of those laps or splits at your leisure. Just fantastic. Do bear in mind, because you're running the chronograph off that central hand, there's always a bit of a lag. There's a kind of half second before the hand goes round and back up to 12 before the chronograph starts. So probably more accurate therefore for timing longer durations than shorter durations, all the way up to 40 hours though. One more push of the central crown will flick it into timer mode and actively select timer mode. I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever used a countdown timer on a watch, but there you are if you utilize that feature. There is one here for you. Next push of the button and we're into alarm mode. Now, two different alarms and total flexibility as to what you can do with them. You can set an alarm in your home time zone, single alarm on the same time every day. You can select the days of the week that you want the alarm to go off, or you can select the alarm to go off at any time in any time zone. So if for some reason you need to have an alarm go off at midnight in New York City on a Wednesday, you can do that. I love it. And one more push and we are into settings mode. All right, if you thought there wasn't enough going on already, this is going to blow your tiny mind. Light level. You can have the watch assess exactly how much light it is being exposed to currently, or how much light it has been exposed to over the last 24 hours or 7 days. Again, exit that, moving on to home time. This is where you set the home time, though there is a shortcut I'll show you about. World time, again, same thing. Chrono result, this is where you go back to dig through those up to 999 laps or splits. Timer, shortcut to the timer there. Alarm, hand position. If you're not happy with the hand position, if you think they're askew or the watch has taken a knock, that is when you reset it. Chrono mode, that's where you select from laps or splits. Day language, now mine is set to English of course. You can set it to French, to Italian, to Spanish, to Portuguese, to Japanese, to Chinese, and a number of others. You can select your home city. You can also select that manually. So if you live in one of these slightly awkward time zones, you can input that manually yourself.
12 24-hour display, date order. You can have USA, UK or European day, date, year order. There's a user guide on here. It'll take you to the website. You can have basic information of the watch like it's a computer, or if you want to do a full master reset, you can do it there. So many options, all made possible by the LCD display. I love it. Alright, one more thing to show you. Let's get it back into calendar mode, and I have used this feature a number of times over the course of the video because everybody knows the watch reviewer's favourite time is 7 minutes past 10. If you push and hold the crown for a couple of seconds, quick set home time. Cycle through these features here, the seconds, summertime, etc. And then you can cycle backwards or forwards, back up to 7 minutes past 10. It's just a bit of a shortcut. You don't have to go through the master setting menu and then into the home time menu. There we go. I'll just wait for it to tick over. 6 minutes past 10, 67, 57, 7 minutes past 10, and setting is complete. Alright then, that's about 90% of the watch's features and functions discussed then. So much utility, all of it in this rock solid package. Nobody does this style of watch better than Citizen. I said that in the intro. Nobody does a module with this complexity that's still reasonably easy to cope with on a daily basis, all wrapped up in a case that just feels incredible. Just feels like it's one solid piece, no moving parts discernible there at all. Having said all of that, it is time for the Moans and Niggles section. If you watch that full features and functions section, yeah, alright, it does a lot, but it's not particularly easy or intuitive. There is a kind of method to the madness, and I'm sure you would get used to it if you ran one of these long term, but it's still not as easy as a straight up digital watch, I don't think. And I wish the crown at 8 o'clock screwed down. It's only friction based, it doesn't screw down. Very, very easy to give that a knock, and that's not a good thing if you are actually using the bezel to navigate. While we're here, I know it's part of their Land series, but I would have much preferred, personally, a count up or count down in a rotating bezel. I would have got much more utility out of that than this. And it may look like titanium, but it's not, it's stainless steel. I would love this watch even more if that were titanium and the watch weighed 85 grams rather than 115 grams. And on that note, my average size wrist just about copes with what is effectively a 45mm watch with 51mm lug to lug, but it would cope even better if it was a 42 or a 43 with maybe 49mm lug to lug. So not entirely perfect then, but still a bloody good watch. I saw this one when it was launched late last year. I think I mentioned it in a video that this was on my review hit list for 2026, and I'm delighted to have been able to pick one up for a decent price mid-year. Handsome looking watch, beautifully well made, packed full of utility, rock solid, no quality control issues. If you buy one locally, you get a fantastic warranty on it, all for a great price. Good job, Citizen. Now, can we please have one in a titanium case that's just a little bit smaller? Pretty please? So there you have it. I would not call this watch easy to operate. I would not call it intuitive, but I would call it fabulously well made and really rather handsome. I love it, but that's not to say I wouldn't love a 42mm version even more. Well done you for making it all the way to the end of the video. You're clearly a fan of Citizen's watches. Me too. Why not check out another couple of reviews over there? Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you again in the next one.